So have you ever asked yourself, when you see the experience mod and you hear about it, whether it's from agents or maybe from your carrier or maybe from loss control, something like that, what it actually is and what it actually does? Most people understand that, but I want to explain some of the nuance behind it in this video and help you understand what drives those numbers that you see on that experience mod. So right behind me here, I wrote on the whiteboard, when you look at workers' comp, there's really three factors multiplied together to add up your premium. The first one is the rate. Now here in Wisconsin, we have the WCRB that sets these rates based on the duties of the employee. So that's a somewhat fixed number that gets released every October. Next, you apply that to the payroll. So whatever the payroll is for that employee or multiple employees in most cases, divided by 100, multiplied by the rate, that's your second figure. The third figure is your experience mod, and the reason why you hear so much about it is because this is the one that's directly impacted by your losses and by your safety program. So I hear a lot of people say this incorrectly. They say that the mod is a 3-year running average of claims. Technically true, but technically, maybe more technically, it's actually 4 years. It's just that we don't count all these years. So if this is our current term working backwards, we then have the previously ended term. This is the term that just ended, in this case 2024, if you've renewed this year already. Those claims are not impacting your mod yet. They will next year once this term expires. That means that the mod for the current year, you got an extra 2 year, is comprised of 2021, 2022, and 2023, and the losses added together are what's going to affect your mod. So how does it affect your mod? I'm just going to move the camera over here a little bit. It's actually quite simple. There is an equation. It is huge, and it's meant to balance these numbers out a little bit, account for size of company, payroll, all that stuff. So it balances it out. But oversimplifying it a little bit, it really is just actual losses over expected losses. So this number, this expected losses number, is technically set by that equation by the state based on factors like payroll and job code and stuff like that. But once that's set, then your losses, which we talked about over here, are added up and give us this number. So you end up with, hopefully you can see this, an example. So let's say you had $4,900 in losses over the course of the 3 years that we talked about, and the state said we expected you to have $5,000 in losses. That would make your experience mod a 0.98, all right? Now let's look at it as a negative example. So let's say the state said $5,000 is what we expect you to have in claims over those 3 years. Over those 3 years, you actually paid $6,000. Now your experience mod way over here, if you can see it, is a 1.2. So now I'm going to spin back, plug that back into our equation. Now that 0.98 example means you're going to pay 2% less for your workers' comp premium. So when we multiply these two factors together, we get our base rate. Then we add the multiply, it's going to be 2% lower than if there was no experience mod at all, or you're at a 1, which is meant to be average, is what some people say. But now in the other example of the 1.2, we plug that in, you're going to actually pay 20% more for workers' comp premium, which for contractors tends to be about half of their overall premium, which is a big number. So makes a lot of sense to invest in safety, claims management, and overall risk management to keep this mod as low as possible. Because the unfortunate thing is, with a 3-year average controlling it, sometimes if things happen, it just takes time for them to move out of the way, and it does always take 3 years for a claim to move out. So you're going to live with it for a length of time. So it moves slowly, but it's actually pretty easy to manage once you know what you're looking for and you have a good partner. Thank you very much.